to you for our next discussion as well. Now we move on. US President Donald Trump has signed a memorandum which will require universities to collect admissions data to prove they are not shaping student bodies along racial lines. Following this, the White House says the move is aimed at ensuring compliance with the 2023 Supreme Court ruling that struck down affirmative action in college admissions. It further claims that some schools are bypassing the Supreme Court decision by using diversity statements to infer race. We also have the Education Secretary Linda McMahon directing the National Center for Education Statistics to gather data on the race and gender of applicants for both admitted students and enrolled undergraduates. Thereafter, the American Council on Education has criticized the order and called its language vague. The Council also warned that it may be illegal for schools to collect such data. Now we go back to our guest discussion with Keith Vaz. He's a former UK minister. Thank you, Keith, for joining us. Now, what do you make of the White House's move to collect admissions data to enforce their compliance rules?
I think it's very worrying for a government to ask a university to give them their data that they have acquired from the students themselves and hand that over to the government. If this was happening in the Soviet Union, I think the MAGA base would be having a fit. Why is President Putin asking his universities to collect this data and hand it over to the state? It's very authoritarian. It's got nothing to do with freedom of speech. It's got everything to do with the fact that the president has it in for certain institutions. One of them, of course, is Harvard. Nobody knows why, all kinds of rumors as to why they're constantly attacking Harvard. So I suppose he's done it to all universities because he can't do it to some. If he did it to some, then the decision would be open to legal challenge. Now, affirmative action has been an essential part of the way in which the United States comes to terms with its heritage and provides equality for all its citizens. Affirmative action exists in countries like America because groups such as the Afro-Caribbean community have been discriminated against over centuries. That's why it was brought into effect. It's interesting for those of us who are on the side of equality and have been campaigning for equality for many years. Very, very good friend of mine is the Reverend Jesse Jackson from Chicago, who ran for president. They believe that affirmative action is an article of faith. This is the only way that you're going to get change. What Donald Trump will argue is that you've had a country where a black man, Barack Obama, even though he doesn't like Barack Obama, has been elected president of the United States. So he could argue that that's all over. Everyone should admit on the basis of merit. Frankly, yes. I don't think the universities in America, would want to admit students to them and their courses other than on the basis of merit. What affirmative action means is that if you have two candidates who are exactly the same in qualification, when one's a man and one's a woman, you discriminate in favor of a woman. And if you have two candidates and one's black and one's white, you positively discriminate in favor of the Afro-Caribbean person. So it's not about taking people who are not intelligent enough, adequate enough, clever enough to get into places like Harvard. It's about all.
Thank you very
operate
much.
Affirmative action.
Thank you very much, Keith Vaz, for joining us today.